From R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, this is The Retirement.
When you retire, if you want an exciting life, you need a boring investment strategy.
Matters.
If you enter into retirement without a plan for income, you're not retired, you're simply unemployed.
Podcast.
Hey, this is your host, Dale Smothers, and you're listening to the Retirement Matters Podcast. My hope is that you will find the information you need in every single show on how to do one of the three things: either saving more money more efficiently, planning better for your future where you can live in retirement worry-free, or my favorite, how you can live a happy and fulfilled life in this life you have been given. We know that your time is valuable and we appreciate you spending it listening to this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. On this week's episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast, we mix things up just a little bit. Like to keep things fresh, keep people on their toes. So rather than going straight into the positive focus and our pause for positivity, we discuss how retirement planning resembles March Madness. We use a little analogy on progression through the bracket and how you should be progressing through your retirement years. You're not going to want to miss that. And from there, we jump into our positive focus. And I like this positive focus because it helps you understand that I'm human as well. And we're never above correction. We're never above criticism. We can always get better at being better. And that brings a quote to mind from John Maxwell that says, "We never want to rest on our best. There's always a better after the best." I love that quote. And that's what we are progressing to each and every day, each and every week, is to be better people. I know you're on that journey with me. I appreciate you tuning into this episode, and I think you're going to really like the end as we begin to discuss index funds, so be sure to stay tuned to that. And of course, as always, we would love an opportunity to speak with you in person via Zoom or just by coming over to our offices here in the south central part of Kentucky, north central Tennessee. We'd be happy to have you in one of our offices or via Zoom. Either way, if we can talk to you and help you in any way, feel free to reach out to us, 270-600-PLAN, as you hear throughout the show. And also, always remember to leave an honest review, subscribe, like, and share to anyone you believe could be impacted by any of the information we deliver. All right, so with that out of the way, let's get to today's show titled March Madness and Retirement Planning. Enjoy the show. Very good morning to you, and I hope you are ready to start discussing all things retirement matters. We are in the madness of March, which is one of my favorite times of year, when basketball begins to be the primary focus for most individuals, at least in this part of the country, where we are. Kentucky, Tennessee, the southeastern part of the U.S. tends to be very focused on basketball around this time of year. And I know here at RDS Wealth, we've got a little bracket going. I'm sure you at your workplace have a bracket, a pool going. What we like to do is we like to, every chance we get, look at the television to see who's winning, who's losing. And there's a lot of excitement early on in the tournament. This past week, and then this week coming, the round of 64, the round of 32, followed by the Sweet 16 to the Elite 8. But once you get to the Elite 8 and you get deeper into this journey, this road to the Final Four, it tends to not be as exciting. And I was thinking about why that was. And the reason that came to mind was, well, there aren't as many upsets. There aren't as many unexpected turns. And most of the time, people just kind of tune out. And if your team's not in it specifically, we just tune out. You know, if Kentucky's not in it, if Western Kentucky's not in it, if Moorhead's not in it, maybe if Tennessee's not in it, maybe we're just not going to pay that close attention to it. But we know it's happening, and we'll hear about it on the news, and who really cares? I wish so badly that retirement planning could be done that way. And stick with me here for just a second. We're going to get to the positive focus in just 1 minute. But I wish that more retirees, as they got deeper into their retirement journey, meaning when they're actually about to retire, we'll say the Elite 8 or the Final Four, when they are about to retire and they have 1 year left, 2 years left, maybe 4 years left, or they've just gotten into retirement, I wish so badly that they would eliminate the excitement from their stock portfolio. There's no need in having the ability for major upsets in your stock portfolio. Early on, we're okay to take on that excitement. Early on in our 30s and our 40s, we're okay to have the ups and the downs of the stock market, the wild twists and turns, the ups and the downs, all of the volatility that comes with things like the S&P 500. But when we get closer to the destination, I said this the other day to a client, it made a lot of sense. It's okay to be going really, really fast when you're far away from the destination. But the closer you get to the destination, or the more curves you see appearing, either of those two scenarios, more curves or you're closer to your destination, you have to start to slow down. The closer you get to your destination, eventually you have slowed to a complete stop. When we get close to retirement, we're pulling into the parking lot of retirement. If our portfolio is still driving at excessive speeds, trying to earn more rates of return, we're very likely to have a negative outcome with that retirement portfolio. This is what I like to talk about on a daily basis. And if you're tuning into the show, you probably enjoy hearing little analogies like that make it make more sense to you. We believe if it doesn't make sense, it'll never make dollars. And so at RDS Wealth, we believe first and foremost that we should help educate and teach those who are partnering with us in this retirement journey on how they can structure portfolios to eliminate this excitement of the stock market, all the ups and downs. A couple weeks ago, we told a story of a fighter pilot and a commercial pilot. If you haven't heard that show, go back to our podcast and check out the episode that's titled Your Retirement Portfolio Should Resemble a Commercial Plane. And if you listen to that show, we draw a parallel between what a fighter jet can do with all the ups and downs and 30,000 feet in the air down to 3,000 feet in the air in a split second. This is very much resembling what the S&P 500 could do. It's 30,000 feet in the air right now, but it could easily be coming down in the next couple of days, weeks, months, or years. And what I see is too many retirees are relying on the success of the stock market to make their retirement successful. And we see a lot of people who could very easily disengage from the need of relying on the stock market and still be successful. What this does for them is, it allows them to not worry about what's going on in the stock market because they know that they are already secure in retirement. Not to say that we completely disengage or we completely divest ourselves from the stock market. We still certainly have investments, but those investments should be doing a whole lot less up and down, and they should be generating income on a regular basis. That's how we help retirees here, by taking things like 401ks, IRAs, things they have already invested in, and positioning them in the right place inside of our investment plan to build their income needed that we know because we have spent time with them in their income plan. At RDS Wealth, we believe you need 5 roadmaps, 5 key roadmaps. We bind them together and we package them for you in your very own retirement atlas that navigates you through investments, income, taxes, healthcare, and legacy. All of these things need to be bulletproof for you in retirement. And just like the parallel we started with, going into March Madness, there's going to be a lot of craziness going on. Already has been. There's going to be more. But as we get deeper into the bracket, we see less and less craziness. I want the exact same thing to take place inside of your retirement portfolio. And if you'd like to know how, give us a call, 270-600-PLAN. We're going to mix things up today. We're going to go to a break. I'm going to make you listen to the break first, and then we're coming back with Positive Focus. That's not how we normally do things here. Positivity normally goes first. But I think what we just learned is probably very valuable for most people. So hang on for just a minute. We're coming back from a break with Positive Focus and our Pause for Positivity right after this.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, serving the residents of Kentucky and Tennessee. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. We are happy that you're listening in and hope you find value in this week's episode. If you'd like to listen to past episodes and find exclusive content and full-length interviews, search for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice, or visit us online at rdswealth.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter. That website again is rdswealth.com. Unfortunately, for many retirees, they're simply trading in the stress of work for the stress and worry about their financial future. At R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, our goal is to help build you a retirement plan that provides a smooth transition away from the time clock and into the time of your life. So even if you're still waiting on work retirement, we want to help you retire now from the worry of retirement funding. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's jump into our positive focus, what we call our pause for positivity. And this is the part of the show that typically comes at the beginning. We're mixing it up today. And this is the part where we pause for just a brief minute. We do a little inward reflection from time to time and work on getting better at being the best we can possibly be. Sometimes we bring up positive stories and want to just shine a little bit of light on some positive things going on around the world because there's far too much negativity. And there are other times where we just talk about what's going on in our life, in my life specifically, or one of our guests' life. And we try to bring some positive insight to you, the listener, on a regular basis. This is what we do on a weekly basis for you. This is what we do on a daily basis for our team. And our goal at RDS Wealth is just to help impact individuals in a positive way. And if we can do that, whether someone becomes a client of our firm or not, whether they're a team member or not, we believe that we have accomplished our mission. Our entire team embodies this because we instill it in them as the leaders of our firm, and everyone that works with our firm feels this. Whether you work as a team member or you work with us as a client, you feel this because it's the number one thing that we want to do. It's why we started this radio show in the first place. Of course, we do get business from this radio show. Of course, people say, yeah, Dale, I want you to help me directly as my advisor, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention the times and the hours that our team puts in for people on a regular basis, and we never ask for compensation, not one time. And it's because of who we are and what my team believes in. And for that reason, we bring you this part of the show, this segment of the show that we call the Pause for Positivity, where we discuss things that should help us be better people. And I am the one that is the subject of this story this week because I needed to be checked for a minute. And my team was there to help me, specifically Miss Whitney on our team. We were headed to Bowling Green. I'll tell you this story real quick. We were headed to Bowling Green, and we were headed there for an appointment, had a client that was going to be waiting on us, so we were a little bit in a hurry. But I decided I needed to pull in to get some gas. So we pull in to get a little bit of gas on the way there. And when I pull up to the pump, I get out and I realize there's a gentleman behind me who is sitting in the car. And I look over and I see his lady, friend, wife, girlfriend, whatever she was. Could have been a sister, which kind of leads to the part of this story I'm gonna focus on. Not really sure who it was, but it was a female pumping gas. And that just goes against every fiber of my being. Everything I was taught as a small child from my father, who taught me to be a man, who taught me to respect my elders, who taught me to respect women, specifically those who you love. This is what I immediately thought when I saw that. I thought, wow, why is he making her pump that gas? He must be a deadbeat. So I get in the car and I share this little sentiment with Whitney. And I say, there's a guy behind us. Can't believe it. Look at this. He's making her pump that gas. And Whitney immediately looks at me and says, well, Dale, we don't know his situation. We don't know if he could have been recovering from surgery. He could have been on his way back from surgery. He could have just suffered some real serious issues that doesn't allow him to get out to pump the gas. And he could very easily be feeling that inside of himself. And there's really not any room for us to judge. Wow. I mean, I was taken back right then and immediately was pricked in my heart to say, you know what, Whitney, you're right. You're exactly right. And all we can do, it's not our job to judge anyone in a situation, but rather when we observe a situation, it is our job to learn from that situation. And in my opinion of this gentleman must have been a deadbeat, I was wrong. I shouldn't have had that opinion. Instead, I should have said, this is why it's important to teach every one of my boys and our entire family to get out and pump gas. Now, it's very possible that his dad never taught him that you pump gas for your lady. It's very possible that he could be a deadbeat, but it is just as likely, just as possible that he is not physically capable of getting out to pump gas. So it's not my job to judge him, but rather to learn a lesson from the observation. And that is powerful. That's our positive focus this week. Our positive focus is to realize that it is certainly not our job on a day-to-day basis to go around judging people. There is one judge. But it is definitely within our job duty to see a situation, make an assessment on that situation, and then learn from that situation, perhaps that's projected on others, of how we would control our own behavior in that situation without casting judgment, very much open to lending a hand. You know, if I had been really on my game, I would have went over and pumped her gas myself and even paid for the gas, but then you may have offended the gentleman. So it's not really any of my business. That's what Whitney was saying. It's none of your business. Why do you care? And I love that because that means my team is keeping me in check the way I'm keeping them in check. And together, you and I, me and you, we can work on each other. And this is why I bring this story, because it is awesome to realize that there are people out there who are just as committed to making sure we're the best version of ourselves as I am. I believe you're one of those people. And for that reason, I think you're going to take this message and relay it to not only the people that you care about, but to yourself. You're going to realize there are situations in this world that we have no business judging. We have no business making a comment on. Rather, we should take in this information and make a decision that when we are faced with something similar, we will act differently. Let's apply that this week. Let's look for the opportunities to apply that this week. And I think together, we're going to make this world a better place. All right, we're going to a quick break, and right after these words, I'm coming back with more Retirement Matters. I'm going to tell you a really neat statistic that shows just how quickly money can add up. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, serving the residents of Kentucky and Tennessee. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. We are happy that you're listening in and hope you find value in this week's episode. If you'd like to listen to past episodes and find exclusive content and full-length interviews, search for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice, or visit us online at rdswealth.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter. That website again is rdswealth.com. Unfortunately, for many retirees, they're simply trading in the stress of work for the stress and worry about their financial future. At R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, our goal is to help build you a retirement plan that provides a smooth transition away from the time clock and into the time of your life. So even if you're still waiting on work retirement, we want to help you retire now from the worry of retirement funding. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's jump into a really neat statistic that I read the other day that talked about Netflix stock. And it's not as much a statistic, I guess, as it is a fact. It's a pretty neat and a very interesting concept to think about what it would be if instead of buying the item of a company, we actually bought the stock of the company. So rather than buy, let's say, an iPhone, we maybe bought Apple stock, which, by the way, is subject to some antitrust lawsuits right now by the DOJ. So if you hold Apple, you're probably seeing some volatility, which we'll discuss here in just a few minutes since we're on the topic. But let me get to this statistic that I read, and it was talking about Netflix, and it said that if you were an original subscriber to Netflix since 2007, having paid all of your monthly subscriptions for a single subscription service, every single month you're paying these subscriptions, by now you would have spent almost $2,000, a little over $1,900. $1,918 to be exact. So $1,900 that you would have spent on this subscription. If you had invested the same $2,000 into Netflix stock, it would now be worth, you ready for this? $331,000 today. It sounds like we may have misunderstood the term Netflix and chill. Buy it and just wait. That's essentially what we should have been understanding that to be, not what the younger generation has made Netflix and chill become. I'll tell you, this idea of buying Netflix stock, and to be real frank with you, I'm not a huge advocate of Netflix stock. It may be right for some, it may be wrong for others, but there's not a lot of intrinsic value there that backs up this particular stock. There's nothing they could, quote unquote, sell besides a little bit of real estate. There's no rolling stock inside of this company. There's no, not even really proprietary information. I mean, their intellectual property is little to none. But at the end of the day, they're a very successful stock. And we own some of it through indexing. So we talk about indexing, and let's dive into that for a second. What does it mean to index? Well, I think it's necessary for a retiree, especially, to eliminate as much individual stock risk as possible. Individual stock risk is, like I said, buying Netflix directly. Along that years of 2007 and until now, along those years and that journey that you've had over those years, if you had owned Netflix directly, it was likely that you have seen some really nasty declines in your money. But long term, you have taken $2,000 and made it now $331,000. This is what compound interest does. A lot of that $331,000 has appeared over the last couple of years. There's something called the Magnificent Seven that for years was, the leading 7 stocks in the S&P 500. Netflix was one of those. There's something called FANG, F-A-N-G, that for years Netflix was one of the 4, F-A-N-G. One of the 4, there was actually 5 stocks in the FANG index, but the FANG, it was a fancy acronym that I believe it was Jim Cramer made up, that talked about these stocks that were performing very, very well coming out of COVID, the FANG group. And this was including companies like Netflix. But the volatility that we see inside of those individual companies, Apple is a great example. Amazon has been a great example of extreme wild swings that have taken place from their highs to their lows, what we call a trough in stock market picking. In the technical analysis of stocks, we have a peak and a trough. And when we see that trough appear and we measure it against the peak, we're talking about 20 and 25% drops, as much as 35 and 40% drops if we look at some of these high-flying stocks. One way to eliminate or at least mitigate that extreme wild swing on the way up the mountain is to do something we call indexing. Now, this is not a term that RDS has made up. It is a term that is widely known. As a matter of fact, Jack Bogle and Warren Buffett are famous for saying things like, do not buy an individual stock, buy the index. So what does this mean? Well, if I quantify this in, say, a story or a visual for you, I want you to think of a haystack. And we've all heard this story of finding a needle in the haystack. So I want you to imagine that I were to say, listen, there is a needle in this haystack and you've got to find that to make money. Well, you could theoretically search for that needle, or you could just pick up the entire haystack. And if my analogy were to maybe be, you've got to be holding the needle in your hand for you to make money. Well, if you had a way to hold the entire haystack in your hand, then by default, the needle is in the haystack, and therefore you win. Well, this idea of buy the haystack, don't search for the needle, is exactly what indexing is. Just pick up the entire haystack. We know there's a needle in there. Maybe there's 2 or 3 or 4 needles. But if we think that, say, like an apple is going to be a good buy, why don't we just buy all technology companies in a haystack or an index fund? If we think that the overall U.S. economy is going to be good, rather than picking up 1 or 2 individual stocks and seeing those wild swings in what we call volatility in the ups and the downs, we could theoretically just buy all of them. And we do that through an index fund. This idea of don't look for the needle, buy the haystack is something that we subscribe to at RDS Wealth. We believe that buying index funds is a much more powerful way to grow money, or at very least to make that money be fairly stable in its growth projection, while we are also generating income. Well, how do you generate income from an index fund? Well, a lot of index funds are paying you dividends. And there's another way to generate some income from index funds, and that's by putting options on those indexes. Now, that gets really deep. And we talk about hay. Well, we're going to go into the weeds if we start talking about options trading. So I'm going to leave that for maybe a one-on-one with me and you together in an appointment, which we would certainly offer to you a free consultation on how we can eliminate, or at the very least mitigate, market volatility for you in your retirement journey. We talked at the beginning of the show about how as we progress through this March Madness bracket, there's going to be less and less excitement because the upsets aren't there. The upset potential isn't there. We all love it in March Madness. You should hate it in your retirement account. In your retirement account, an upset or an unexpected event in the stock market does nothing but bring worry and fear. And what our job is at RDS Wealth is to extract the worry and the fear from your retirement. We want you to live the retirement you've always imagined. And to do that, we use things like index funds. We use things like putting options against index funds. We use things like bonds, structured notes, fixed index annuities, these types of CDs, for instance. Those things are giving us some really good upside potential right now, but there's no downside risk. So by building these together in what we call the risk on and risk off portfolio, we can structure a portfolio that gives you very good potential for stable market value in down years with some upside in the good years. And I'll say it as plainly as I possibly can. If the market's good, you should be good. If the market's bad, you should still be good. And my team is prepared to show you how to do that. If you have a 401k, an IRA, you've just came into some money, some inheritance. If you're over the age of 59 and a half and you're still working and you have a 401k, there's a really good chance that we can help you in achieving your objectives, gearing up towards income years, because you're approaching those. Over the age of 59 and a half, you're certainly approaching those. If you're younger and you've got money that you would like to grow, we're going to show you our philosophy. And if it makes sense, we'd be happy to work with you. If we can bring value to you and your situation to impact your family and generations to come, we are ready to partner. If we feel like we can't bring any value, or we feel like you would be better served elsewhere, we will certainly let you know, and we'll point you in the right direction, and there will be a great deal of value delivered to you because of that conversation. That conversation starts with a phone call to our team, 270-600-PLAN. We'd be happy to set up a time to meet with you and discuss your goals. helping you understand that there are different rules in income phase than there are in growth phase. There are different strategies, different methods of investing money. We've got to focus on your income. We got to make sure we're not paying too much in taxes. All of this is what we begin to discuss inside of that first 1 hour, no cost consultation. And we would love an opportunity to sit down and discuss those with you. All right, guys, that's the show this week. I appreciate you tuning in each and every week. And I've got a little bit of maybe a few extra seconds here on the close of the show. So I want to tell you, we appreciate what you do with us every single week. You sit down, you listen to us, you give us your time. We hope that we're bringing value in these shows. We hope that you're hearing something every single week that you can take back, maybe even apply to your own retirement account. If anything, we're giving you some positive insight in between maybe some music that you like to listen to, whatever station you're listening to. Maybe we're just another talking head on the station that you listen to on a regular basis. Whatever it is, I want you to know that we appreciate you listening each and every week, and we love doing what we're doing here. We would also love an opportunity to do this with you in person, and if that's something you would like to explore a little bit more of, again, our phone number, one call away, 270-600-PLAN. You can certainly request to be put on our newsletter by calling that office number as well. Sign up for our newsletter online. Check out our podcast. Maybe there are things that you would just like to listen to before you decide to come into the office. That is totally fine, and we are welcoming you to take in as much information as you can from what we know to be true in the retirement income years. So until we talk again next week, whether it's in person or right here on this same station at the same time, always remember, save money, plan well, and live happy in retirement. God bless.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Artie Smothers Wealth Management are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Artie Smothers Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Artie Smothers Wealth Management.